right, so here goes our remote learning for today. Before we hop into what we're going to do, I want to know, in your own words, what have we been learning about in Unit 7? So take a second, type up in a complete sentence, please, what have we been learning about? And so after you have that response put together, get out your notes from yesterday, and we're going to continue with finding the surface area and the volume of composite solids. So we talked about yesterday what our first step is when we are determining the surface area and the volume. It's just figuring out what shapes our composite is made up of. And so if we look at number one, if we look at number one, because that's the one we did not do, and that's one I'd like to do. Number 1 and number 6 are very similar, but you don't have number 6, you have number 1. So that is where we are going to start. If we look at number 1, what shapes do we have? All right. If you said we have a prism and a pyramid, that is one answer that will work, but our most specific answer about the shapes that we have present here is that we have a cone and a cube. So 6 by 6 by 6, that makes this a cube. So we're first going to find the volume because volume is a lot easier. The volume of our composite is going to be the volume of our cube. And then are we going to add or subtract? We are going to subtract the volume of our cone, because the cone is being scooped out of this cube. So we need our formulas. Volume of a cube is going to be area of the base times height. And the volume of a cone is going to be 1/3 area of the base times height, or 1/3, since the base is a circle, pi r squared times height. And so let's get started. All right, even though the cone may be a little intimidating, this is a very straightforward problem. The area of the base of the cone is going to be 6 times 6 units long. So that lets us know that the area of this square right here is 36 millimeters squared. The height of our cube is 6, and that just so happens to be the height of our cone as well. So we will use this h for both volume calculations. The radius of our cone is 2 units long. And so now we just plug everything in. 36 times 6 minus 1/3 pi 2 squared times the height of 6. (36 times 6, we might need our calculator for that. 6 cubed. So the volume of our cube is 216, and we need to subtract the volume of our cone. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit before we continue. We understand that 1/3 of 6 is 2, and then 2 times 2 squared, so 2 times 4 is 8. And so we really could slap millimeters cubed right here and then call this our final answer if we wanted to. But I am going to go ahead and get a decimal. 216 minus 8 pi. And what do you get for your answer? .87 cubic millimeters. Now, we get to surface area, and things are a little bit different. So I'm going to paste my picture again, and I really want to break this down to you of what are we finding. We're finding the total area of all the surfaces. And so I want to draw you a net of what this looks like. And this might take me some time. Please don't judge my art skills, because that's not what this is all about. This seems about right. That's a little too long. No, closing it. Okay. And so this is the net of a basic cube. But in our cube, this top right here is cut off. So we're going to have to find the total surface area of our cube minus this hole right here. Not only are we going to have to subtract this hole, that circle on top, we're going to have to add in the surface of the sides of our cone. So what that looks like is we're going to have to add in this. If we were building this shape out of paper, we would have to cut this out separately and then kind of tape it in that hole so that it made that interior and it made that cone. So this is what we're finding the surface area of. How do I put that into math? How do I put that into formulas? How do I calculate this total surface area? So first we're going to need the total surface area of the cube. So all of the surface area of the cube. But we're going to have to subtract this circle. What is that circle? What are some vocab words that you can use to describe that circle? Well, I'm going to call that circle the base of our cone. And then we're going to add in the sides of our cone. And again, what is the sides? What do we call that? What is that area of the sides of our cone? That is right. It is our lateral area. So what formulas do we use? For the surface area of a cube is a prism, what formula do you use? If you said pH plus 2b, then you are on the right track. Minus the base of the cone. Now, am I going to leave this base of the cone? I'm not. I know that the base of that cone is a circle, so I'm going to put minus pi r squared plus the lateral area of a cone. If you look on your formula chart, what is the formula for the lateral area? Only the lateral area of a cone. Pi r L. We have all our pieces. Time to build our toolbox and start calculating. Perimeter, height, area of the base, radius, and slant height. The perimeter of this base of our cube is 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is 24. The height is 6. The area of the base is 36. Radius is 2. Do we know the slant height? If you said no at your screen, you're awesome. We don't know the slant height. How are we going to calculate it? Well, just like yesterday, we're going to use trig. Not trig, just kidding. Pythagorean theorem. 2 squared plus 6 squared equals our slant height squared. And so 40 is our slant height squared. We don't want the slant height squared, we want the slant height. So we take the square root of that. And so our slant height is square root of 40. Can you get a decimal? Sure. Is it easier just to put this there? It is. So perimeter times height, 24 times 4, plus 2 times 36, minus pi 2 squared plus pi 2 times radical 40. So 24 times 4 plus 2 times 36. 168 is the total surface area of the cube. We're going to subtract 4 pi and then add going to go ahead and get a decimal there. 2 pi times radical 40. So add 39.74. And so we're almost done. Now that this has been cleaned up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and just type the whole thing in my calculator. 168 minus 4 pi plus the 39.74. I'm going to put some more decimal places because I like my answer to be as exact as possible. So instead of 7.4, I'm going to say 0.73835. And that lets us know that our total surface area is 195.17. What's our units? Great job if you said millimeters squared. So that's all we are doing today. If you did your video, you're good to go, you're done, and you need to work on your review. Okay, work on your review and your IXL homeworks if those are not complete, which at this point, if any of that is not complete, it is a late grade, so please get on top of that if you have any missing work. Well, that's all, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Just kidding. You'll hear from me tomorrow. I'll see you on Thursday.